Hello Mark, I've got an opportunity of showing you an exceptional collection of playing cards. We're here at the international tournament of the World Bridge Federation, the Bermuda Bowl, most important of these championships, and particularly suitable for a bridge tournament. Mr. Jimmy Ortiz Patino agreed to exhibit part of his fantastic collection of early playing cards. Come with me and let me show you what we're talking about. We're of course exceptionally grateful to the World Bridge Federation and especially to Ernesto Dorsey, who is the president of the Brazilian Bridge Federation, for allowing us the facility of this wonderful room and the setup of this exceptional collection. Jimmy Ortiz Patino, the family has been for generations collectors of artifacts. Every time they've decided to go into any theme or subject, it has been always exceptional. And here we have the same situation once more with Jimmy Patino, who in 1982 decided to go into the world of playing cards, and this is really the result. On exhibit only 75 cards out of a whole collection of 200. What I'd like to do is to start immediately with a sort of pièce de résistance of the collection, which is this, the Visconti Sforza tarot single card. We purchased this quite recently at the Christie's auction in New York, and there are only 8 collections in the world. I mean, total number of playing card collections in museums, private hands might be, say, 100 collections. There are only 8 collections in which there are some of these cards still in existence. The Visconti Sforza were 2 Italian families whose children got married, and the families decided to commission Bonifacio Bembo, I suppose the Pablo Picasso of the period, to produce a deck of cards, in which at that time there were tarot cards, 78 cards, which they presented to the kids. And of course, not many have survived. The Patino's collection has got this tarot page of staves. We have to remember that at this time the suit signs were still sort of swords, sticks or batons, cups and coins. One of the interesting things is that the suit of coins in this deck of cards used to have actual gold coins embedded into the card itself. A really exceptional item. Having mentioned the suit signs in Spain, the other suit signs, of course, are the French ones, the hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades, which are also used by England and by Americans. And the third one in use, other than the Spanish and the English or French, are the German ones. But the Germans didn't start using standard suit signs until the end of the 16th century. Before that period, any artist could decide which suit signs he wanted to use, and he used to choose themes. And Virgil Solis here, who is as well known an artist in Germany in the 1500s as Bonifacio Bembo was in Italy, decided to choose 4 animals for the suit signs. So he selected lions, monkeys, peacocks, and parrots as the 4 suit signs instead of equivalent of hearts, diamonds, clubs, or spades. So you can see there the ace of monkeys with 1 single monkey on it. Below that is the 3 of lions with 3 wonderful lions, and much more intricate and complex, the 10 of monkeys, with actually 10 monkeys designed on them. Now you can see the artistry that is needed by a genuinely successful artist to produce such a nice pack of cards. Originally cards, well even today actually, cards are always printed on pages, the single page, including the whole of the cards, which are then cut up into sections. And here we have a geographical pack of cards from 1669 by a well-known cartographer, incidentally, Duval. And because this pack of cards was also sold as an uncut sheet, it has got a title on the top. Incidentally, 1669, only 4 continents known, Australia was not there. Ideal in the sense of dedicating to Africa the whole of the spade suit signs, to Americas the other ones, Europe and Asia. Rather interesting here is that the map of the Americas on the title shows California as an island, which was a genuine mistake that was made until rectified only in about 1710. When we come into England, this is where the real prominence of playing cards begins. Because Robert Walton, a great businessman effectively, realized that if you had playing cards, that people gambled with, and these people were illiterate, there should be a second use that can be given to the playing cards by presenting pictures, 52 pictures on each playing card. So what did he do? He took and used playing cards as if they were newspapers. He took an effectively actual happening, historical event in 1678, which was the Popish Plot, the plans of the Catholic Church taking over in England, and on each one of the 52 cards, he put a drawing showing the development of this Popish Plot in England. As a result of which, of course, he traveled, or even maybe he began selling many more packs of cards than he would have done otherwise. Once this fashion of putting images on a playing card, other than just the clown, just the gambling side, was accepted, in fact popularized, all sorts of new concepts and ideas began to be applied to playing cards. A wonderful picture of palmistry cards in Germany in 1695. By the way, if you go and have your palms read today, you'll find that this is identical to the 1695 palm reading, so there isn't almost any difference. Beautiful geographical playing cards. Many of these cards were slightly outsized to accommodate the size of the cards. And 1678, this pack produced in Germany, amazingly accurate. If you look at the map of the world, you will see Brazil, where we are at the moment, in fact, doing this exhibition, reasonably accurately displayed. And if you take one map down, which is Europe, England, the same thing, has got actually the correct proportions of Scotland and Ireland, which is really quite outstanding for a reasonably fair and early pack of cards. Educational subjects from then on, mathematics were being taught through playing cards in great detail. I've had mathematicians looking at this and actually confirmed that this is reasonably advanced mathematics for the period that is 1711, produced again by the same Lenthal, who produces many of these playing cards. The idea of fortune telling, not to be mixed up with tarot cards. Tarot cards have nothing to do with fortune telling. These were genuine fortune tellings with the signs of the zodiac and the positioning of the astrological stars in the skies are all represented in a pack. All of them always showing the spade, that this is the king of spades, 13 instead of king, the 5 of diamonds, and so on and so forth. When we come to the world, or maybe just before looking at the world of playing cards, we've got one nice example of something that is sort of totally outside of Europe and the Americas, a nice pack of cards from Japan. Here it is totally non-standard. This pack consists of a total of 200 cards in the pack, 100 Japanese poets, 100 Japanese poems by the poets, and the whole idea is to match the poets with the poems. Early decks in 1750 entirely hand-colored, as many of these were in fact either stencil-colored or hand-colored, and the text, as I say, relating to the well-known Japanese poems and poets. When we come on to the tarot cards, the first thing I think that is very important to identify is the fact that tarot was an ordinary game of cards, which is still played today as tarot. Exactly as bridge is played here, tarot is played in many French, Italian countries. The difference is basically that the pack consists of 78 cards in total. And there are 22 major arcana, usually identified exactly by the same figures for the same cards over the centuries. So invariably, the number 13 you can see there represents death, always. The moon is represented by number 18, and the falling tower by the number 16, and the fool is usually the last of the cards, the 22nd trump. The game was meant to be trumps. So the 22 major arcana were trumps. And these have been misinterpreted as being unusual and therefore possibly intended for fortune telling. There are different trapula, and trapula is a game played with tarot cards, incidentally, only 36. Different games of tarot, which are, as I said, still very, very popular today. The earliest one, by the way, dates quite back to the 17th century, so they have been around for a long, long time. And they are exceedingly beautiful because they are larger cards. The second part of the Patino collection on this side, on the opposite side, is dedicated basically to themes as opposed to the sort of range of dates that we've just gone through. And here, the period it covers again goes right across the centuries. But it's interesting that in 1728, The Beggar's Opera was an actual opera that was held at the Drury Lane Theatre in London. Had you gone to the opera one evening, when you had finished, on the way out you could have picked up a pack of cards, which wouldn't have cost too much, and on return home, place them on your piano, and you can play the whole of the opera over again with the various words for the actual tune. So it was a wonderful little way of, well, selling playing cards, I suppose. I mean, most of these ideas of what we're talking about are second commercial concerns. It was just a matter of getting playing cards and selling more and more of them. In Switzerland, the earliest souvenir cards ever published were published in 1865. Almost every card collector or non-card collectors will travel around the world and pick up one souvenir pack of cards from where they are. This is the one where each one of the Swiss cantons, two of the Swiss cantons, is represented on each one of the playing cards. And the aces have got wonderful panoramic views, as good as any postcard, of various cities in Switzerland. In an attempt to sell cards again, somebody came up with this brilliant idea in Germany in 1880 of having some oval cards. Total disaster from the point of view of business, because nobody likes using oval cards. Difficult to shuffle. You can't spread the hand in your hand, the cards in your hand. But beautiful deck of cards that has now become a genuine collector's item, in spite of, maybe because of its commercial failure. Got other examples which are wonderful. The prisoner of war camps during the Napoleonic Wars. There is a whole collectibles world of artifacts that were prepared by prisoners of war. Scrimshaw is among the most famous, but all sorts of artworks. And here we have a totally manuscript pack of cards done by an anonymous prisoner of war in the 1790s. The Ace of Spades, a physical spade, a nice little curiosity, but otherwise drawn by hand, possibly with images of somebody that the artist had in mind as he drew the pack. And just below, a French Revolutionary cards. The French Revolution, of course, had just decapitated, don't go below here, by the way, okay. Just stay up there, had just decapitated the whole of the royal family in France. So cards, playing cards with crowns on the kings and the queens, didn't quite sort of fit in. And so they produced their own new series of playing cards with images that were suitable for the French Revolution itself. One of the most interesting subjects that there is in playing cards we're going fairly fast through a very, very vast subject, as you can appreciate, but this idea of transformation playing cards was really a challenge to any artist to see whether he could take an ordinary playing card, say the Ace of Diamonds, and design a drawing around it which would incorporate the diamond as part of the design. Now this is a very good example. That's the Ace of Diamonds on its own, and this young lady is carrying it as a bag on a stick on her shoulder, but the diamond is in its place. The same with the Ace of Clubs. The nuns with the Seven of Spades. The spades there are there. If you take the picture away, the picture remains. This became known as transforming the playing card, and it began in 1850 by a Cotta, who happened to be a German bookseller, who produced them to give as a gift to his customers, and of course they've become exceedingly popular soon. Another one here, I think this one is well worth showing, just the bottom card there, the Four of Hearts, which is particularly quaint of what the idea is all about. And finally, the last part of this collection comes to what are known as standard playing cards. In other words, the other playing cards today we're playing with, in the bridge room, they're playing with cards which are double-sided with indices, ordinary cards that everyone recognizes. In the 1780s, exactly the same packs. France, which I'll remind you again, were taken over, the suit signs were taken over by England, America, and so on, hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. This is a pack of 1780, but every region in France had a small variation to their cards. In practical terms, it didn't matter. It was always kings, queens, jacks, hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. But the design often varied, the features of the face and so on. So it's a great collector's subject. And many French collectors will have collections of the whole of the range of regional packs from France. There's a good Portuguese playing card, early 1798. You'll notice that all the court cards are standing. In fact, these were known as coat cards because of the costumes that were worn by the kings and the queens. And the court is really a corruption of those words, court cards. Nice early English standard pack of cards. The ace of spades is particularly interesting here because you can see that it is very, very intricate. And the reason for that is because ace of spades carried a stamp duty on it. And people tended to forge it. In fact, it was punishable by death to forge the ace of spades. But it was always produced in a more intricate way so that one could prevent its use. Well, that was a fairly quick tour of the exhibition. I think we really have to be very, very grateful to Ernesto Dorsey, who is the president of the Brazilian Bridge Federation, in addition to Mr. Patino, of course, who made his collection available, for allowing us to exhibit this way. We hope to show this exhibition in Philadelphia next year, and maybe you'll come and join us, and we'll have another video there. We'll have a few American playing cards set up specially for the Americans. Thanks very much.